Hello world, my name is Klaus Wachtel and I'm doing 100 innovation keynotes in 100 days. Today's number 84, and today I'm going to talk about the concept of technical debt. Now, what is technical debt? Simply put, it's choosing an easy solution right now instead of something that is better but is harder. Now, this is the premise. The premise is like this. You introduce a new system. It can be a new piece of software. It can be a new way you look at your sales process. It could be a new organizational structure. Maybe it's a new way you do something, a new process of some sort. Doesn't have to be technology, but you introduce a new system somehow. Then some time passes. Now, on the top of the line, we have the energy that is there for new things, that is brought there for new things because of your new system. And below the line, we have the energy needed for upkeeping the system. Because as things pass, as time passes, then complexity grows and you need to kind of, we need to fix it here and we didn't account for this there and we need to do this thing and it can't handle things after the year 2020 or now we need it to be able to do it in euros or wait a minute, now we have 4 vice president titles because we've grown. Complexity happens, and that means that we need to spend some time on upkeep on our systems until we once again create a new system and start again. But ideally speaking, or maybe not ideally, just realistically speaking, what happens is this. First, when you get a new system, there's plenty of energy freed up to do new stuff because of that system. Then some time passes and you start using a little bit of time on upkeep. You still have plenty of energy to use on new stuff, but as more and more time passes, you use more and more of your energy on upkeep of the system because it seems more and more clunky, it's slower, it's more inefficient, it's not optimal anymore. So at some point, it stops freeing up energy and just starts sucking it out of you. Now, this is the classic scenario. And at some point, you reach a level where you kind of, then you create a new system. Then you do something else with it. You overhaul it, or you upgrade it, or you change it, or whatever it is. This is pretty normal. Now, imagine a better system for a moment. Imagine that you don't have this, but instead you have this, where even after quite a bit of time, there's still plenty of energy gained from the system and not that much used on upkeep. If you look at it visually, here instead of here, one is obviously better. However, it's harder somehow, because if it wasn't, you just choose option number 2, of course. But it's harder somehow. Maybe it's more expensive. Maybe more time is needed to do it. Maybe it's more risky. It could be any amount of things. It could be any number of things that make you take that decision at the beginning saying, we're going to take the easy way out. There are plenty of reasons to choose an easy solution, a now solution. Now, 4 scenarios for why you make that choice. Let's go to a guy called Martin Fowler, who's introduced something called the technical debt quadrant. Visualized, it's a 2x2 matrix. And here we have the deliberate choices, the ones you make on purpose. And the other part of that side is the inadvertent ones. They're like, oops, this just happened. We didn't plan for it, but it happened anyway. And on the other side of the quadrant, you have reckless, which is let's just power ahead, get it done, not think about it. And then on the other hand, you have prudent. Now, anyone, of course, when faced with a quadrant like that, thinks, but we should belong in the prudent and deliberate because that's best. Yes. It's not always how it is. So examples here are, for example, an example of reckless and deliberate behavior are, we don't have time for design. We just go, go, go. Or we don't have time for quality control. Or we don't have time to think about different options. We just need to go now. This happens often. If we're inadvertent about it, if we're not deliberate, it's like, what's layering? Huh? I didn't even know that was a thing. Is that the law here? Not too good. On the prudent and deliberate side, this is the stuff that sounds good. We must ship now and deal with the consequence later. We know there will be consequences, but we need to ship, so we do it now, and then we face the future when the future comes. On the other hand, if we have the prudent course, but we're not doing it on purpose, then it's like, now we know how we should have done it. But it wasn't that we decided to do it in kind of a fast way. We just did it, and then we afterwards realized, oh, okay, that could have been done smarter. So what does this matter to you? Why is this relevant at all to you? What does it have to do with innovation? Well, which decisions cause you trouble later? Pretty sure that no matter where you are, whether you're in a nonprofit or a startup or a governmental entity, there are decisions that you are making every day and have been making that you know this decision will cause trouble down the road. It will fix the problem for now, but it'll cause trouble down the road. If you're raising a kid, it seems like it's all those decisions, like we do this thing now, then 1 week later, ooh, cause trouble. Or 6 months later, ooh, or a couple of years later, like, damn, we should probably have done it differently. Or maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we said, we know this will cause trouble later, but we're doing it anyway, and we'll find out how to deal with that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That's kids. Companies, so much more of that. So much more of that. Because you're constantly taking decisions that you know, or maybe you don't know, maybe you just think they will have an effect later that'll be tricky, and you are constantly replacing systems and upgrading things, not just software, but all sorts of systems and processes. And every time it gives you that new energy, and then it starts to degrade slowly. So which decisions will cause you trouble later? Identify that. And where can you spend extra effort and avoid technical debt? Where can you kind of throw in a little bit more effort now and then get the version 2 that went like this instead of version 1 that went like this? What's a thing you can do? Is it maybe your website? Is it maybe your HR processes? Is it maybe the way you have titles in your organization? There's so many things that need to be decided, needs to be constantly upgraded. And sometimes if you spend a little bit more on this thing, then it'll last 10 years instead of 2. Worth thinking about. And where in the quadrant have you had the most trouble? Has it been because of your reckless decisions that have been deliberate, saying, we're just going to go for it? Now, go, go, go. Or has it been because you're constantly surprised, like you're taking the prudent course, you're being kind of cautious about things, but you're still oops. Where is your problem spot? Or where is your sweet spot? These are both good things to know. Final tip before I round off this talk. Technical debt does not have to be technological. It can be very human. It can be very, very hands-on, analog, in no way technological. Yes, it's easy to think of this as something that is very much a part of any sort of software or digital or mechanical. Sure, that's true. But there are also all the human elements that are non-digital, non-mechanical. There's technical debt there as well. So with that said, thank you for listening to this short intro to technical debt. There's a lot more on the subject out there. It's a huge and complex thing, but for now, thank you.